It's windy Muleshoe, imagine that. And it's even wet Muleshoe. And it's the One Run for Boston relay coming through Muleshoe on this morning. And what is your name?
Mark Garcia.
And Mark, you brought it in to Muleshoe from where?
From Lariat.
From Lariat. Where do you live, Mark?
Amarillo.
Amarillo. And what's your name?
Santana Gonzalez.
Santana. Now, where do you live?
I live in Amarillo, Texas.
In Amarillo too. And so how did you all learn about participating in the One Run for Boston?
Well, it was last year. We ran this once before, and I ran with them then, and I've been staying in contact with them ever since, and it's a wonderful event.
Yes. And did you run last year?
I did not. I found out about it, as a matter of fact, through Santana, through our running club in Amarillo. So thanks to him, I'm able to do this today.
Right. Now, you're going to take it from him where?
Here in Muleshoe. Yes, and then I'll run from here to Spring Lake, 24 miles.
24 miles. How many miles did you run?
I only ran a measly 11 and a half, so.
Oh, well, this is wonderful. Of course, they're raising money for the Boston Marathon bombing victims, right?
Correct, yes.
Thank you for taking
Yes.
Muleshoe.
Thank you.
Well, we found out more about you. Now, where were you born?
I was born here in Muleshoe.
When's your birthday?
October 22nd. I was born many years ago in 1975.
1975.
Yeah.
And so who are your parents?
Pauline and Javier Garcia.
And what did they do in Muleshoe?
Well, my dad worked at Excel way back in the day, and then my mom was actually a school teacher, a teacher's assistant and a school teacher here. She taught at Neil B. Dillman.
So. And so what year did your family leave Muleshoe?
In 1990.
And are your parents still living?
Yes. My dad actually lives in Clovis. My mom lives out in Midland, Texas.
And did you have brothers and sisters when you lived here?
When I lived here, no. I have a half sister, but she lives out in Washington State. So.
I see. So you're the only Muleshoeite.
I am.
And so you know all about Old Pete, and so you wanted to come to the National Mule Memorial Statue.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
These are two of the people who actually started the One Run for Boston relay. Now, Kate, what is your last name?
Treleaven.
Treleaven.
That's right.
And you live where, Kate?
I live in Devon, which is a county in the southwest of England.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine that. Now, you're over in England when the marathon, or when the Boston Marathon last year occurred?
That's right. Danny and I were together. We were following the coverage of the marathon at home on our computers, and when we saw what had happened, it just shocked us to the core.
Because you all are runners, right?
We're runners, and we could have imagined ourselves there and our families waiting for us at the finish, and that's what really inspired us to do something to help.
Now, this is Danny, and Danny, what's your last name?
Bent, B-E-N-T.
Danny Bent. And where do you live?
I live in the same place in Devon in England.
And so now you all are sitting there on TV and watching this, and then how did the One Run for Boston relay come out of you watching and Kate watching the marathon on TV?
Well, we were, like you say, we were very keen runners, and at the end of that day we just looked at each other and said we have to do something about this, and neither of us have very much money, but we had the kind of skills to put something on to bring the people of America together, the runners of America together, and also to try and raise some funds more than we could actually give ourselves.
And you know, so many of us stand or sit and watch something happen and don't do anything. So I commend you both. And especially we think about, well, Americans take care of Americans, but these are our neighbors who are taking care of us. That makes us feel good. Was there anybody else in on the beginning?
Yes, we've got our friend James Hay. He's back in England now. He's like the Wizard of Oz who sits at his computer all day and night, making sure that our website's up to scratch and sharing our messages on social media, and getting the message out there that people can still donate to support our runners. They can go to our website, which is onerunforboston.org. They can track the runners online via the GPS satellite tracker, and they can make a donation there too. And James is in charge of all of that.
Oh, and that's so important.
It is. It's the reason we're doing this. You know, there were so many people whose lives were changed for the worse on that marathon day, and they have to live with horrific injuries now for the rest of their lives. And if we can raise money to make their lives a little easier for them, then that will make it all worthwhile.
I commend you both. Now, the first run, actually, coast to coast, was last year.
Yeah, that's right. We just set off 7 weeks after the bombings. It took us 7 weeks to organise it, and then we arrived in Boston 3 weeks and 1 day later. Yeah, and we raised $91,000 then, and we've already surpassed that by 3 times. We're up to $265,000 raised, and it's still coming in. And I mean, we're hoping other people are going to donate, and we're hoping to get closer to $1 million by the end of the run by the time we arrive in Boston.
Now remember, you can donate, so just go to that website. Again, what's the address?
It's onerunforboston.org.
Okay. And now what do you do in England?
I'm a writer, so
You're a writer.
yeah.
And so you're seeing America. Now last year, was the run all the way coast to coast?
Yeah, it's exactly the same, coast to coast. And I mean, I think Kate had been to America 18 years before. I knew one person in San Francisco. Other than that, we absolutely knew nothing. And we've been through Arizona and then New Mexico, and then you come into Texas, and these are all places that you can't imagine ever being in ever, and now we find ourselves here, and sometimes it feels like we're in the movies.
Oh, how wonderful. Now, Kate, what do you do?
So for the last 5 or 6 years, my job has been organising events. So I think that's why we were able to pull this off with Danny's imagination and his creativity and energy, and my skills as an organiser. It came together.
Oh, that is wonderful. Now, are you married?
I am. My not to Danny though. My husband is at home. He's incredibly supportive, and he cheers from the sidelines and doesn't mind me coming off and gallivanting for 4 weeks over here.
So it's taking 4 weeks. Now, when did you start and where did you start from?
We started in Santa Monica, just outside Los Angeles on the West Coast, on Sunday the 16th of March, and we will finish in Boston on Sunday the 13th of April.
And now that's very close, isn't it, to the time that the bombing last year occurred?
Yep, the bombing was on April the 15th, so we will arrive 2 days before the 1 year anniversary, and we'll arrive 8 days before this year's marathon, which takes place on Monday the 21st of April.
And so now, this year, the marathon will continue in Boston, but are there other festivities or commemorations that will occur during this first year anniversary of that terrible date?
Yes, it's my understanding that quite a number of things are being organised, some by the Boston Athletic Association, some by the families of the victims and the survivors themselves. There are memorial walks along the marathon route, there are services, so it will be marked and those who lost their lives will be remembered.
Now, I can't remember exactly how many really lost their lives.
So 3 people lost their lives that day, and then 1 police officer lost his life later on in chasing the bombers.
Yes. And now, how many were injured?
I think it's over 200. So it's a massive figure, and all these people are needing medical attention, and some of them are going to need medical attention for the rest of their lives. Their cars are going to need to be transformed. Their houses are going to need to be transformed. They're going to need money for the rest of their lives. So what we can gain for them is going to be really good.
Every penny counts. You know, a dime, a dollar, $500, $50, $5. It all adds up.
It absolutely does. I mean, if everyone can just give a small amount, then that's absolutely fantastic. And those who have got the money to give a little bit more, then that's going to really, really help our cause and really, really help those people that are suffering.
Now, how many runners will participate in your relay coast to coast?
Well, we've got just under 2,000 now, but we're hoping that's going to go up as we get closer to Boston and as the media kind of catches on and spreads our story.
Sure. Well, we'll do our part.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And now, like in the area, I know these 2 men are both from Amarillo that are running through Muleshoe. But how do you contact them? Is it just through the social media?
Social media is our most important asset, and people can share the message. So, you know, Santana here is excellent at getting it out, and he's our top recruiter in Texas, getting more runners to come and join us. But we also do contact local running clubs. That's obviously a core of people that we know will be interested.
Well, you know Texas is the best.
Well, I'm told that. Yeah, we'll wait and see.
And we're the biggest.
Yeah, we saw when we came through in Texas and we saw your state sign, we thought, oh, that's quite small, and we thought this was the big state. We drove on another half mile and we saw the impressive Welcome to Texas sign. So the standard has been set.
And of course, OPEAT, the National Mule Memorial, certainly welcomes these runners to Muleshoe and to Texas both. And it is the Lone Star State. It's big and wide and deep too.
Yeah, we're really excited about passing through.
Good. So we commend you both and your comrade back in England for starting such a wonderful project, and hope you will contribute.